Hey guys, how's it going? This here is Tracilyn. I'm also known as VCat. And as you can see by the sign up here on that building, so can you see it? Oh, it's up there somewhere. I just showed it in the beginning of this video. Is the name of the facility I'm at right now, which is called Miami Valley Hospital. This brief video, which I'm hoping it's going to be brief, is going to be a small testimony that I was talking about in a video that I made yesterday of burning Miley Cyrus' shirt. This video is going to be just to get something off my chest, because let me tell you something. I've been living in Dayton, Ohio since 2009. Actually, when I first came here in 2009, I was staying in, if anybody's familiar with Xenia or Beaver Creek, that's where I first was staying. And in 2010 is when I started to live in actual Dayton. Then I moved up to North Dayton. And as many of you have heard if you watch my other videos, you will find out that there's been a lot of time since then that I went through and endured all kinds of things, and a lot of homelessness, police brutality. I can just, the whole list, there ain't no sense in repeating it all. You can watch my other videos and you'll find out that I went through a lot just since 2010. I went through a lot just since 2012 when I came back here, because remember in October I was homeless again from October to January. So what I'm going to give you a summary of is in 2009 I came out here, but then I left. I was living on the road as an escort because I didn't know what else to do. I have nowhere to go. When I came out as a transsexual lady, I lost everything. My whole family doesn't understand it. It's hard for them to comprehend and accept the fact that I am a female. But this is where I've been trying to explain to everybody, as simple and find and learn different ways to help you better understand what it's like. And the bottom line is, if you're watching this video right now, you're watching it with an iPhone, or maybe you're watching it with your computer, a laptop, a desktop. Well, all those devices have different software in them, And is your computer, for instance, if it's a laptop, is it the laptop that you're watching this video on? Or is it a combination of the software and the laptop that make it what it is? And I don't want to discuss too much about this, because you can watch my other videos where I'm very open about being a transsexual. I went through a lot to try to get myself, body, mind, and soul, as I would like to say, to get things synchronized so I could better blend in with society. I have seen countless psychologists. I have been in and out of mental facilities dealing with this, but the hardest thing is to get the point across to other people is it's not that I've been having a hard time dealing with it myself, it's that I've been having a hard time dealing with a society that has been programmed and won't wake up to the reality that they're really the problem and not people like myself. We're all going through life as we're staggering around, trying to figure out who we are and what is our purpose. Why are we even here? Some of us, like myself, are simply trying to have fun. That's the only reason I'm here. I want to have fun. I want to be Tracilyn, and I want to have fun doing the things in life I'm passionate about. It's really hard to do in a world that is saying that's not allowed. And for people who are coming to America, they want to be in America so bad. They look at it as a place of freedom where they can, come here and get away from all the bondage of stuff that they're in. Let me tell you something. You go from one place of bondage, you end up right into another. I would have to say that right away, that if you are not willing to submit to the masters of this country, you might as well hang it up, because you'll never get to experience being yourself at all. And as far as family unity, for me, I can honestly say that doesn't happen. As far as unity for any reason, I can actually say in my life, that doesn't happen. People do not unite together for anything worthwhile in my eyes. It always has to do with money in America. It's all about money. And let me tell you something, you don't have money, that's really you might as well just hang it up. It's lost. So here's the thing. I'm gonna rant and rave about a lot of the things that I have been through since I came back here just this year in 2014. So in my other videos, I have discussed that my only means of survival that I look back in my own life history is in the entertainment industry. However you look at it. The world has been programmed that if you're using your body for, for male species or whatever to survive in the sex industry, that's prostitution or what have you. But I've always been an entertainer, whether I'm in or out of the bedroom. My main passion is music. That's what I love the most in life. So, as I was saying, a lot of this probably is going to be edited out. I'm just rambling right now. What I'm going to get to is I don't want to repeat my whole life story all over again, but I'm just giving you some insight that when I came here, the last video that I had posted in January of 2014, and the videos prior leading to that whole video series I did on my life story in Lebanon, Pennsylvania and stuff, was all a build-up of the fact that I was getting ready to end my life yet again. See, I suffer from severe depression, major depression. I have been diagnosed with that over and over again by every psychologist, every medical doctor that I've ever seen. And that depression usually increases when my circumstances are unhealthy for me to live. Whether that's just being myself, or if it's doing things that I love to do, whatever it is, whenever something's taken away from me, that keeps me from being who I would be in my natural habitat, if you will, like an exotic animal, I get instantly depressed. And you have people telling you to focus on a situation at hand about what it is that you like, not what you don't like. And let me tell you something, that's setting you up for a disaster, because if you keep building that up like little blocks on a wall, you're just gonna have a whole nother world of who you're not, okay? So I've learned that I can't keep letting people boss me around and tell me how I should dress, how I should walk, how I should talk, how I should go to the bathroom. I shouldn't be letting people tell me what I should be doing in my daily activities. Again, I want to have fun, and how I have fun is by doing the things that are natural for me to do. In my situation, I love to role play, I love music, and I love to model. I just want to be happy, right? When I came back here in 2012, or 2014, in January, I realized that there is nowhere else for me to go or anything. I was living on a credit card. Have you ever gotten that bad in life that you ended up living, your situation got that bad that you ended up having to live on a credit card or do something that was maybe against your morals? I have. So, basically what I'm saying is I'm getting tired of being bulldogged around everywhere I go. I'm not a bad person. I'm actually a really nice person, a lot of fun. If you give me an opportunity, you would find that out. The problem is nobody wants me to be Tracilyn for any reason, because everything that I do is considered crazy to society that is mentally being conditioned that this is how you live your life. That's what has happened. And it makes it hard on me that doesn't submit to that. I can't. No matter what I do, I can't submit to your idea of life or anybody's idea of life. I have to submit to my own idea that I gathered up from my own perspective of information I gathered up throughout my life journey. That's me. That's what I want to do, right? You think it would be easy to just do that. It's not. Because in my circumstance, because the whole world around me has been programmed that I'm nothing but a freak. Thank you, Jerry Springer shows. Our entertainment industry. Thank you, religious leaders from around the world who are programming everybody that I'm a person of Satan instead of a blessing to the earth. I don't want to get too carried away with that, but let's get right down to the point today. I came back here in 2014 after doing my whole life story, I had all of my belongings in place to say goodbye. Without going into too much detail, my final affairs were in order. I came back here to Dayton, Ohio, on my way back to a place that I was going to go to end my life. For some reason or whatever, I don't really remember, but I reached out to the place that I'm staying at now. I don't know what it was about, but we ended up talking. And the bottom line is, they invited me to stay there under one exception. That I hold to my agreement on everything that I said. I will be self-supportive. I will find, however I support myself, but I can stay in a safe place as long as I keep up to my end of what was expected for me to be in that facility, that home. I was very grateful for that. I figured, I've tried everything else and nothing ever seems to work out. Why don't I take the last step? Because the psychiatrist I met back in like 2010 or 2011, he has been right about everything so far. He listened to me for 20 minutes, and in 20 minutes he just told me basically what's going on with everything in my life, and he's been right about everything. So one of the things is I'm going to have to turn to, like government resources. I'm going to have to get help, and explain my case to them and go through the legal process of getting that, because I can't get a job. Nobody wants to hire me in Dayton. I've been here since 2010 trying to piece my life together, filling out applications. I filled out, like almost 40 applications in a very small time, just a couple months, and over 100 resumes. The countless times I sent out emails looking to be a personal living assistant or somewhere that I could help somebody with their business, trying to explain my situation. People say to me all the time, why do you, Tracilyn, tell people that you're a transsexual? Believe it or not, it's actually easier to have people turn you down right in front of your face because they know that than it is for you to, what they call, hide the truth. And then you're living your life. Then when people find out, you lose everything that you gained while being with in that relationship. In this situation, if I live with somebody, can you imagine that? That eventually they find out that I am a transsexual? I can't hide that stuff for the rest of my life. Somewhere, somehow it's gonna come out. And I'm tired of my whole world being destroyed because people cannot handle that. It's really sad. What is the big deal? It doesn't bother me at all, and I don't get it, because to me, I'm a person of diversity. In all aspects of life, I welcome and invite new cultures and new ways of living. I love to sample new foods and stuff like that. See, I don't get that whole mentality of everything has to be so small in people's minds. So when I did come back from Las Vegas in 2012, I said, you know what? I'm going to do the best I can under this pressure, and I'm going to say, if the whole world, if I could do anything I want to do, what would I do? I would be myself. I would model. I would role play. I would do music. I would try to make people laugh, and I would be open about my life story because I care about other people, and I would like to not see another transsexual be misunderstood for who she is, or he. I'd like to see a society that gets beyond the sexuality and the gender issues and the physical appearance. How about that? And the fact that everybody has their own personal beliefs. Be more open. Not be scared of transsexuals, but be interested in getting to know them, just treating them like a normal human being. How's that? So with that being said, getting back into 2014, understand, I was done. I'm not asking anybody for help anymore. I'm done asking people for help. I'm not gonna get the help I need, because nobody wants to take time to just accept that I'm just what the world, society calls a wild one, which really isn't that wild, very tamed. It's just that I'm very open with my life. I like to live that way. I can't mentally keep all that stuff locked in and keep living my life in in secrecy. I gotta hide all the time. You know, I gotta hide here behind this wall. I don't want you to see me. Do you see me? If I gotta live hiding from everybody all the time about everything in my life, I understand some personal matters you just need to keep quiet because you can't trust anybody. But the simple fact that I have to hide absolutely everything about myself, that tells me that I'm not allowed or invited to be proud of who I am. And instead of transsexualism being looked down upon, I think it's an absolutely beautiful thing, in my opinion. When I see transsexual beauty queens, is what I call them, you know, I think what a wonderful blessing to this world. It's like an exotic animal. It's an exotic human being that's being underappreciated. That's really sad. Instead of being valued, you're devalued, mistreated instead of, respected. It's getting better, they say, right? And that's why I wanted to be a part, share my life story. Because I don't want to see, a 10 or 11-year-old kid that's going through school wanting to dress and be who she is. And because the teachers and the principals and the parents and everybody else is against it because what they're saying is, I don't believe that that's right for her, or him. And then now she can't socially be a part. I'm doing it as a female role. She can't socially do the things that the girls are doing when she wants to do them because nobody's in agreement or that it's fair. And you have a lot of jerks like the guy down in Texas who's screaming and rampaging in their physical appearances. That's a lie. We all have male and female in us, and we all have different characteristics. You can't tell by that stuff. And just because somebody has a body part between their leg doesn't tell them whether or not they're a lady or a girl. And I went through all this before. So I want to get too sidetracked. So here we get back into 2014. I came to this hospital because I knew I had to start all over again by checking myself into an emergency room. I promise, one of the promises of staying at this house that I'm staying at now, which is the same place that I've been in and out, and I have been kicked out of many times and then invited back in, and I'm very grateful for that. Unfortunately, I'm not grateful for, when things go a little wrong, instead of just working them out together, I get kicked out. And I usually get kicked out of any place that I've ever been. I get kicked out because I voice my opinion. Because I perceive something as I'm being mistreated. And I try to talk as graceful and merciful as I can. And because most people in general are very sensitive to things and very bitter, they don't want to forgive you for stuff, they can't get over it. When you say something in defense for yourself, you end up, guess what? Move. You gotta move. Because I can't tolerate the fact that you stood up for yourself. Innocently and kindly. That really sucks, getting beaten around like that continuously. For years, okay? This has been happening many places. I got kicked out in Hollywood, met a lot of freaks. You know what? Here's my two ways of living. Either I can live with people who are gonna bulldog me around, even to the point that I am told what door I have to go out of, curtains that I have to stay closed or open, or that I can only take a few minute shower instead of just taking a shower. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on about all this silly stuff. All my life is dictated of what I can and can't do. There's no freedom in that. It's very painful to go through that every day, being told what you can and can't do. Or I can be somebody's sick, demented sex slave. I can't tell you how many times that has happened to me. Sure, come and stay here with me. But you're gonna be my sex slave, just not in those words. You're gonna be my sex slave. Oh, that's just fucking great. That's just great. So that's my options. How about if Tracilyn could take care of herself? Well, the world says I'm not allowed to have a job that pays. So I can. Since I come to Dayton, I've had all kinds of troubles with that. See? Dayton, it seems to me, doesn't care about Tracilyn. That's the way I feel. I come here, and basically what I'm going to tell you is I came here to Miami Valley Hospital. holding my word at the place I'm staying that I will seek help, because they don't like me talking about I want to commit suicide and I'm tired of life, and they want me to be negative. They want me to get the help I need. I promise them. I come to this hospital and I emptied out my whole heart, my whole life story in 6 days. By that 6th day, I wanted to stay in a week longer. And in those 6 days, I have tried everything to talk to them to find out what we could do with myself. I can't just go and stay at a homeless shelter, because if I go to a homeless shelter, despite the fact that I'm legally female, even down to my birth certificate, it's all been corrected in alignment with my mind. Since birth, I've been this way. This is who I am. I've just been trying to accept myself in a world that doesn't want me to accept myself. Okay, so even there with the staff, I can't tell you how many people are on their staff. I don't know, look it up. I was staying in their behavior unit for 6 days, okay? The head psychiatrist in there, the doctor for the mental, Tracilyn. The problem is you keep getting stuck in very unhealthy environments. I'll never forget how he looked at me and shook his head, and he said, I couldn't imagine what it must be like being you and going through this. And I said, what is it that I can do? What can I do? Where can I go? I want to try something new at least. I don't want to keep going back to, I mean, let's just face it, that was even my words to the person who invited me back in. It's never worked out and I always get kicked out. I don't know what else to do. Well, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. Well, let me tell you something. It's always within a couple months before move again comes up. I'm tired of living that way and the threat of having to be kicked out all the time. Nobody can. I can't live on the street. If I live on the street, police brutality. If I live on the street, I get raped. I get friggin' beat up and all kinds of crazy stuff. You don't know how Americans are until you live on this American streets. There's nothing that we can do for you. I can't tell you how much I cried in that facility. I don't know what to do. I had a couple people, they made calls, they tried everything. There's no shelters for me to go that would be safe and in alignment with my mind, because I gotta be forward. Unfortunately, I could only afford to get half my surgery. I can't afford the other half, because I'm not allowed to have a job. Because in America, we don't see it fit to help somebody in their time of need. Insurance in Canada, let me tell you something, Mexicans run into America have no idea. They're running together with their families to cross the line of the land of freedom, but let me tell you something, it won't be long before they're all divided up and fighting amongst themselves. Because that's what Americans do, in my perspective. Even slaves from years ago, they ran for Canada, they didn't stay in America. And in Canada, if I would have been born up there, a citizen of Canada, their insurance takes care of this situation. Then I don't have to go around telling everybody all the time about me being a transsexual. You see, how am I going to have an intimate life if even for an hour? And some of you will say, well, you should let everybody know all the time that, because you're not a real woman. Yes, I am. I don't have time to keep explaining this stuff, and I'm tired of explaining myself. People can't accept me for being me, and it's really worn me out. And that's why I'm talking about this today, because Dayton, I'm fed up with the mistreatment I have been receiving since I've been here. I'm not getting the help I need. You know, I'm starting to now, and that's what I'm getting ready to share my story. I haven't been getting the help I need. I'm going to say that again, I have not been getting the help I need up until this time around. So understand, they tried everything, and they said the best thing I can do is get as many resources from the government as absolutely possible. And the local county has great resources, and they're right about that. The only problem is you have to go around, and I wish I had my paperwork to show you how much you have to go through to fill out all this paperwork, go to all these appointments, and you have to prove to everybody around you how desperate you are for their help. They don't want to just give you the help. You got to prove there's circumstances. I went through a lot. Finally got food resources and stuff like that. All my needs, let me just say that, I'm going to make it very clear. My needs are met except for a safe, sane place to be that I can be myself. And I don't have to be bullied around every day, wherever. I'm staying at a place right now where people don't like me. All right? They just don't. I don't even know why they're letting me stay there. They don't like me. So instead of inviting me into the home, why did they even go to that extreme? Why am I still there? They don't like me. Do you think mentally I want to keep putting myself through this stuff? I don't want to live in a home where nobody likes me. But in the same token, I don't want to live on the streets where everybody's going to be kicking me around. How much can a person take? How much could you take before either A, you kill yourself or you end up hurting other people? You don't know until you're there. So after that, the doctor wouldn't even let me stay for one more day so that he could sign a form that I had gotten from the local community over here to get what I call them food stamps, to get your food card. So I could actually have my own food and buy what I want, because I'm tired, number one, of eating what everybody else is telling me to eat, or what they're willing to buy me is never in alignment with what I enjoy and what I appreciate. You know, I don't know what it's like. It's been years. It's been a long time since I could actually sit down and at a dinner table and really, really eat up to this point what I want to. I have a lot that I could share, but we're going to try to keep this as short as possible, and I know I'm talking a lot about a lot of different things. What I'm trying to help you to understand is all that I have been going through. All that I have been going through leading up to the next place that I'm going to be talking to you about. So when I left here, he wouldn't even let me stay another day. I had to come back because he didn't sign the paper. I got it the very next day. So I had to come back here, and I talked to somebody higher up in an office, and I got that paper done. So then I could get my food. You know, because I'm worried about how I'm going to eat. I'm living on a credit card. And it's hard to prove to people how homeless you are. I found that out. It's hard to prove to people you're homeless. Be careful how you dress. Don't dress anywhere close to nice, because there's no such thing. To them, my head is burned out from all the stuff I had to go through. So with that being said, they had referred me as an outpatient. I wanted to stay. I wanted to stay in this facility, but they said there ain't no sense in having you on an inpatient and stay basis. Your situation is ongoing. This is going to be an ongoing situation. We see it as an ongoing situation for the rest of your life. So we suggest you having a regular visit outpatient. I can't afford to go, and I don't have insurance at that time. Where do I go? He gave me a facility, and that's the facility I'm going to take you to. Now understand, you can go. I have over 70 hours of my life story that I've been sharing with the world. Okay? I'm very disgusted with the way things have transpired at this next place, and I'm going to tell you why. And that's the only reason I'm making this video today, because I would like to get into my own foundation where I can play my music all day, do what I do as Tracilyn, and find my way to be myself and be happy, and stop living under the control and domination of the world around me. And something else I want to point out here is I was staying in, I don't know, over here, somewhere in that facility, right up in there. I'm not sure if that's it. Okay. I was walking in my bed, or not in my bed, actually I was up on top of my bed, but in my bedroom. And I talk a lot to myself all the time. I don't have nobody else to talk to. Talk to myself. And I come to the conclusion, I realized that the only place that I have to go is the place I'm at now. I don't have anywhere else to go. I want to stay alive so I can work on my music and make some kind of life for myself, whatever that means. That's right for me. I want to work on my music. Now here's the thing, I've been wanting to do that my whole life, but I'm always stuck in survival mode. I don't know how to survive in this world, in this country. It's not easy. And these are the things I'm going to discuss with you next. The only place that I had to go that even made sense is the place I'm at now, that I'm still living in mental bondage of, I could be homeless when I get home today. So therefore, I have to put my whole life on pause on all the things I would love to do. Because if I'm collecting things, resources to start working on my music, to get nice clothing again, to invest, you know, to move forward, I have to live somewhere where I know I'm going to be. That's where I live. See, you say, well, Tracilyn, nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Let me tell you something. I live with that every second. That's even increased immensely. Because I'm living under the domination that if I do one little thing and I mess up, I'm kicked out. I don't have no money to go and just go get a little apartment and freaking live and take care of myself. You need a job for that. Well, let me tell you something. I can only take living like this so much more that this is it. If I do not get an apartment, I am going to definitely try to kill myself. I just said it on camera. I don't know what else to do. Can you imagine feeling like that? Have you ever felt like that? Seriously, if I don't get a place to live, nobody likes me. Nobody wants to help me. And let's just say it, imagine if you know, somebody who plays guitar. But helping people does not mean making them live to your standard and your idea of life. See, that's the problem. People will invite you in and they expect you that you're going to be their slave. You're going to be exactly what they want you to be. You are not allowed to be yourself, because as soon as you're being yourself, to me, I'm considered crazy. I've also been diagnosed with a childlike mentality. I'm like a big child. I just want to have fun. I have legally been declared mentally disabled. Okay? Years ago, I guess I would have probably been intimidated by that and not wanted to be declared that. Today, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that after everything I went through, that it's recognized that according to society's standards, I am mentally disabled. I can't do life the way you are doing life. I can't do life the way other people do life. I don't even know who I am because I can't even get myself together for the first time in my life. I've learned a lot psychologically. The last thing that I need now is a place to live, and if I don't get a place to live, I'm never going to be able to be myself. I'm never going to be able to get that new start in life and start over and do things right for me. Because even when I came back from Las Vegas, I was telling you stories of how, you know, I don't care what anybody says. I'm being watched via satellite all the time. You are too, probably. All of us are. We're being monitored. They want you to believe that there's things in the refrigerator. They want you to believe there's things in the microwave, on the television, and there may or may not be. But, you know, they want you to believe that it's just on the telephone poles and stuff like that. But I'm here to tell you, you can Google map and you can see how amazing our, you know, our advancement of technology has brought us. And I guarantee you, the people in power, they have much more than that. And I have known and made claims many times that I am being monitored, and people are making a lot of money off me. People that I used to admire as a kid growing up, people that I had posters on my walls, I really hate today. Because in my time of desperation, in my time of need, the best time to really be inspired by somebody's life and to take everything they have is when they're almost in the process of death because they're being tortured, whether mentally, especially because then they talk. And when they talk, things come out. People are there and they're writing things down and they're freaking taking mental notes and they're taking all of your ideas because you're a less fortunate scumball that society has declared to you to be, and they go out and they make their millions and billions of dollars together in a large community of people, which is your entertainment industry. Those people don't have time. They don't even know who they are. They're lost in an illusion of world of there always being something to make that dollar. And most of those people that are there would end up being like me. They would want to take their life if they ended up in a situation like this. All I'm doing is trying to be myself. I love to model, I love to role play, I love to play music. And my privacy is being invaded all the time. People are listening to me speak right now. And they laugh and they think it's funny and all this other stuff. Well, guess what? If you think that's crazy, then so be it. Guess what? I have legally been diagnosed as being mentally disabled. Crazy. Then let me be crazy and make that right to choose death with dignity, unless somebody's going to help me. You don't want to help me? And the whole world says, no. You know what people say? Nobody helps you. You got to do it yourself. How do you do it yourself? The only way I could do it is if I disappeared into the middle of the woods and I started learning how to make weapons and stuff and kill my food and then eat it and learn how to survive like they did years ago. This is America. This is totally different. You try to live off the land now and see what happens. Dude, they're gonna put you in prison right away. Mark my words. They're gonna cite you and all kinds of things, and they're gonna keep at you because they want to get those people off the street. Those are people who have fallen out of the system, kind of like falling off a boat, and instead of letting them drown or assisting them to drown, they'll wait until just the right time to throw you in a prison, and that's where you spend the rest of your life. Why? So they can torture you. Do you think I want that to happen to me? Do you think I want to be tortured continuously for the rest of my life? No, but they love it. They're inspired by it. It's a game to them. Let me tell you something. The people that you admire the most are the ones that you should really be stepping back away from. Seriously. I'm talking about in the entertainment industry. And they don't like me saying that, but I'm going to tell you that. You better be very careful. Because in the end, if you really knew, let me tell you something, if that person wasn't in the position they were in, would you even care about them? If they were living with you, being that same person that they are? I'll tell you right now, you wouldn't. You wouldn't like them. You couldn't tolerate it. You'd be screaming at them for them to be something that they're not. And you're like, I'm just being myself. I'm a rapper. I rap all day long. That's all I do. You know? I'm a guitar player. All I do is wail away on my guitar all day long. I don't want nothing to do with anything else. But that's what I do. I sing. I like to do a whole lot of different things. So can you imagine? I often wish that I would have other talents other than playing guitar. Because can you imagine, even when I get an apartment, where am I going to live that I can play my guitar? I can't afford to buy my own apartment, buy my own house, create my own atmosphere. So I'm at the mercy of everybody else to help me. I don't know what else to do. We're gonna move on to the next place. I just wanted you to see that this is the place that I came first, January. I stayed there for 6 days. Even the doctors, the staff, some people, we made lots of phone calls. They got all kinds of resources together. None of those resources were willing to help me, especially the religious ones. Especially the religious ones, folks. Where's God at when you need him? Isn't God in their heart if they believe in Jesus? Well, they look at you as satanic. We're not going to help you. We can't help you. Let me tell you something. As a transsexual lady, I will be the first to say that Dayton, Ohio isn't too interested in helping its community. That's my opinion from my own life experience. I am getting the help finally that I need, and this is why the next place I'm going to take you to is going to explain why I'm so disgusted and why I'm making this video today, because I would have never done that. My hope is to get into an apartment, close this up, stop sharing my life story, and just start focusing on my music and my life. But there's something to be learned through these videos, not just for myself. It's a healing process, but also for the people watching it. You know, let us not forget. If you knew that a person, there was no future for that person whatsoever, in a world that just totally detests them, they're never going to be able to take care of themselves. Do you want to keep on taking care of them if they're willing to say, I'm ready to go now, goodbye? Because even you who are watching this, if you say, well, I would love to help you, I want to help you, you're the same person that would be disgusted with me because you would want me to live in your alignment to your perspective of how I should be living my life. And if I was just being Tracilyn, you hate me. Okay? And I'm saying, you know what? I'm gonna be 42 this year. I get it. You know? Not only will my needs have been proven that it'll be very lucky if any of them fully ever become met. But anything remotely close that I want, which is also a borderlines of what I need for my peace and my joy and my happiness, it isn't going to come to pass. So, I'm running out of battery. I gotta go back home and pick up a battery. I need to save this a little bit. The next step is coming up. So just remember, this is a place I was at for 6 days. The only help that I could get is the fact that a doctor has seen me, and he said he doesn't know what else to do for me. He said I need to get into my own, into a healthy environment for myself, because he sees the problem as being ongoing. This is not going to end, folks. This is going to be a lifetime thing for me. And mentally, it's going to get worse. And I have a lot of things to talk about mentally, and what it is the stress, the friction from trying to live into society's standards. It's next to I can't do the American way, baby. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. You know? It means I have to deny myself completely in every area of my life. I can't do anything I want to do or need to do because it's who I am. I can't be myself. If there was any other place on this earth that I could do that, I'd rather live in another country. I'll tell you what, I tried living American, you know, the American wake up, go to work at a job that you know you hate, just so you can come home and have a little bit of your own personal time. That really isn't too personal, because in a society that's programmed for whatever, you have to have a certain standard no matter what building you walk into, no matter who you have as a friend. Most people cannot just accept you for being you, and that's what we're going to talk about. But I would have to say that just the information that I've learned alone, I would walk away from any job I had unless it was something I was very passionate about. Because if you're watching this, there's a good chance that you're a slave. Trickery to the mind. All this is just an illusion. Okay? So, peace out. We got 2 more facilities that I want to stop at and talk to you about. Hey everyone, how's it going? Here's Tracilyn. I'm also known as VCAT, and I'm back at the facility number 2 that I'm just going to share really quick. This is the place that I showed you in the beginning of this little clip, where one at least comes for assistance in getting housing. We're leading up to building facility number 3 to explain why I even started to make this video and why I'm so upset and stressed out. Okay? I have a lot to explain about the things that I have been going through. I could just go on and on and on and on, and most of you can just take a glimpse at my life story and see this person has been going through a lot. And see, people will talk to me and say, well, you know what, Tracilyn, if you need to do it yourself. You can't expect people to help you. How do you do it yourself? How do you do it yourself? I don't know how. Nobody taught me that. I need help somewhere. Everybody does. And whether you think you're getting help now or not, you're getting help. You have a job, don't you? You have a place to live. You're getting help. People are meeting you part way. Nobody meets me at all. Okay. So at this facility in my situation, I need housing. Is this one of the facilities? I'm not sure. You know, behind me. I don't know if that's a facility tied to this or not. So I don't have any beef with this, but here's the thing. They work on a point system. You go in here, you fill out an application, you go for about an hour, hour and a half interview, and in that process of it all, you know, you get to talk to them a little bit and find out what you need to do for your part in order to get their help. Well, because they work on a point system, they have made it clear, just like every other housing authority that I had gone to in the state of Ohio, which I'm going to talk about later when I get another battery here, is every place operates a little bit different within the state. And some of them have rules and regulations, like you have to live within this county, or you have to have a job within this county. Me, I have to have a job. Where do I get that at? Can you help me? You gotta have a job within the city, or maybe you have a family member. And they use a different point system because they want to help the people who's urgent. So are you disabled in my situation? Yes, I'm disabled. So there you go, I move up a little bit more. I'm single, so I don't have any children, so I'm only eligible for an efficiency or a 1-bedroom, which is fine, right? That's all I need. Be good to live in a hotel room. So here's the thing. Within that point system, also, are you a veteran? Are you elderly? Do you see what I mean? So you start to move up. we do try to show a little more compassion for people who are elderly, you know, in their 60s, 70s, or somebody who has served in our military or what have you. For our homeless is another one. Okay. Are you considered homeless? I am considered homeless by every medical doctor that I went and talked to. Mental. Okay? Because the simple fact is, I do not have any kind of lease agreement that states that here are the rules and regulations of the property, and that's how I get kicked out if I break one of those rules. It's a very verbal, and if it's in a situation that if I do not abide and submit to their idea of who Tracilyn should be, or just because they decide you're out of here, I only have like a grace period of, I think it's like 3 days or 2 weeks here in the state of Ohio, which is, I think especially during a crisis, that shouldn't be like that. I think it should be like 30 or 60 days. If somebody wants to kick you out of their house after they invited you in, I think that by law, because of the circumstances at hand, I think that there should be a new rule put in that, you know what, you invited them in there to stay there. Now you're kicking them out. Maybe you should be careful about who you invite into your house. That person, you cannot expect that person to live on the street all the time. You know what I'm saying? And that's my circumstances. Sleep in the car, sleep on the street, use your credit card. Because I can't get any help here. I don't know what to do. I can't get a job. I don't know what to do. So, within this facility, as I was saying, there's a point system. I explained to the lady about my situation. It's a temporary place, but it is not considered an actual home because of the circumstances. She said she is sorry to hear of my circumstances over the last few years, and she knows that this has been, I lost my apartment in 2009. Do you know what it's like to lose your apartment for that many years and bounce around place to place and always be kicked out as soon as you do something wrong in the eyes of other people? You might not be doing wrong at all. You might not be doing wrong at all. Just to their idea that you're doing wrong. And maybe you're not allowed at that place to speak up in defense. To remind them that this is a place of respect too. I am worthy of respect. Well, she told me, she said, what I would need you to do is get a pastor. I told her I'm not religious in any way. I do not believe in any of that. So I can get a pastor. I could get a therapist or a mental doctor, physician. Just somebody that could print out on a letterhead. They don't need to know the details of my life. They don't want to hear the details. What they want to do is just have somebody who can confirm the fact that what I'm telling them is indeed true. This will help me move up on that point system. The reason why I'm sharing this video is because the next place I'm going to share with you the fact that I shared my entire life journey with people who in the end, to get that letter, when I requested that letter, they denied me. And I'm going to tell you what I went through at that facility. And I'm going to tell you why I'm upset, because you, the taxpayer, are paying for that facility because it's a government-funded facility. And in my opinion, those people should lose their jobs so they know what it's like that I'm going through. In my opinion, they should be yanked government funding, because if they're doing it to me, they're doing it to everybody. We don't need government-funded facilities that don't want to help the citizens of that county. Get rid of the facility. Get rid of the government funding and let the facility take care of itself. You know what it's like, facility, to take care of yourself? We're going to find that out. So now I cannot, let me just tell you that here, just like I heard in every county, I'm going to explain this to you. Government is yanking funding from these facilities. I can't get Section 8 here at the present moment, which would open up doors that I can go shopping around for an apartment instead of waiting for a low-income housing development to open up for me. Government has yanked funding from that in a majority of the state of Ohio. Now, on top of it, their waiting list is between 3 and 6 years. I haven't lived anywhere in 2009 for more than a year and a half, and there was a lot of serious stress for everybody. What am I gonna do? Can't get a job. I'm mentally disabled. I can't stay in a mental facility. They don't do that anymore. My condition isn't that bad. I can see an outpatient. What do I do? Go on the street? That's illegal, Tracilyn. You can't live on the street. You get put in jail for that. Where can Tracilyn go? Why isn't she getting the help she needs in the county? Montgomery County, by the way, which is considered Dayton, Ohio, USA. Why not? Why not? Why can't I get the help I need? There's no shelters around here for the transsexual community to stay at. I know that because we all called around. We all looked into it. We can't get that for you. We're sorry. We would like to help. We don't know how to help. There's none of that here. We got lots of abandoned buildings, a lot of abandoned, hotels, but we can't help house our homeless there either and have some kind of standard where we end up helping them. Lots of abandoned hotels. Why not? What does it matter if I'm a transsexual or not? I'm a human being. Well, we don't want to treat you like a human being, Tracilyn. That's America. That's not just Dayton, Ohio. That's America. I've been declared mentally disabled, mentally crazy, is what everybody says to me. I'm mentally crazy. But in the same token, they don't want to seem to help their crazy folk. They're crazy and they're doing it to themselves. Why can't I be mentally crazy and I'm somebody who needs help? Well, you should be able to do it yourself if you're mentally crazy. Can I? Can I? Thank you, people. Thank you. I would like to thank everybody watching this video. Thank you. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your contributions. I've tried everything. I even tried putting up a donation page on my website. I did better as an escort, So, and by the way, in this United States, it's illegal for a woman to use her body for survival, is what they did for the beginning of time, but they want to tell you it's prostitution. It's not prostitution, that's how we survive. It's natural. If you look at animals, you can see how they live, How do they protect yourself? How do you protect yourself? How do you do that? So, with that being said, understand that this is a nice facility. The people were very nice to me. But I'm explaining to you that there's a waiting list of 3 to 6 years. And I'm going to explain more about it. I'm running out of battery, but this is every county that I've went to in Ohio. And the same thing is being said. I did hear one county say about 6 months. Even my therapist had told me, she said, usually in that county, I'm not going to say the county, but usually in that county it's about 6 months. Somebody, especially for one person, you can get the help. What do I do? Government is yanking funding. There's a waiting list which was about 2,500 people, they said. Imagine if it was 2,500 people that I fell in number 2,500, but getting that letter would move me up even to 2,300, or even to 1,800, or even 300. So now instead of waiting 3 to 6 years, maybe my time frame would be about 1.5 to 2 years if I just got that letter. It'd give me hope, don't you think? I moved up the list. Something's going to open up. I'm going to get the home that I need so that I can start my life over again. My whole life is unorganized. All my files, my computer files, my paperwork, a lot of it got thrown away. Things I had to give up because I couldn't afford to keep it, because where do I keep it? Things stolen from me. By law enforcement, by the way, while I was trying to survive in Connecticut. What do I do about this? I share my life story and being very frustrated because I want to start my life and live and be myself, and I'm tired of everybody stopping me from doing it. And I think it's important that the taxpayers of this county know that the money the government has taken from you is being wasted a lot of times. How's it going? This here is, back this way, Tracilyn. also known as VCAT. I don't know where this is at in the video series. Well, I'm here at Dayton Behavior Health Clinic at 1520 Germantown Street. In Montgomery County, the state of Ohio, which is also considered Dayton, Ohio. The reason that I've been sharing with you the last two facilities and a little bit of my life testimony since the beginning of this year is a simple fact that this establishment was placed here for people like myself who are going through an extremely challenging time in life, funded by the government, by the taxpayers. Now, the taxpayers of the United States, do you think it is? Do you think it's the taxpayers of the state of Ohio? Do you think it's the taxpayers of the entire county? Where do you think the government funding, as they put it, comes from for this facility to help people with low income? Did you ever feel like sometimes you're working your tail off and in the end you have nothing to show for it? Maybe I'm one of the reasons why. Maybe this facility and many, many more like them are really the reason why. Because they're sucking out like vampires blood. They're sucking the blood from you, the sweat and tears that you put into your job. They're taking that money from the government. The government's taking that money from you, and then they're giving it to places like this. And from my testimony, I would have to say should not be receiving government funding. And let's remember that I'm mentally disabled and I have been declared crazy by many people because I don't fit into society's norm. Now here's the thing. Check this out. When I came out of the Miami Valley Hospital that I stayed at for 6 days or so to be evaluated, because I explained to them my story, I explained to you the story of why I was there. This is the facility, and the only facility that was told to me that I could go to because of my circumstances to get the help, H-E-L-P, help that I, Tracilyn, need. See, in order to go through the legal system to get the resources that one would need, money, insurance, the health care that they need, and I could just go on and on and on. To get the resources one needs, to have their basic needs met, you pretty much have to go around and prove to everybody about your situation. Let me just say, not just once or twice, you gotta do it over and 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 over again. Today's technology, they can make it very simple. They could have a profile of yourself online, everything verified, make it very easy. Everybody just pops in a code or swipes your card, and there's your information. I'm one that's for it. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people don't want their privacy invaded and stuff like that, but as you can see, I'm very open with my life, okay? And when it comes down to important matters like this, the last thing I want to do is keep going around explaining myself to people over and over and over and over again. I get really tired of that, but I have to. And so do you if you ever need the help from this county, for any county, for anybody in the United States. You got to prove yourself. Okay? I understand it to a point. However, in the state of Ohio, instead of just going onto a website and letting them know you are desperate, and in my situation, you're pretty much willing to move anywhere in the state of Ohio, as long as you can live in a safe, sane, stable, secure place of residence that you can be yourself and do what you do and get your life together. In my situation, I will never be able to submit to the system's way of living. I just can't do it. Mentally, I'm too weak. I can't. too stressed. I easily fold, can't handle it, because I have to change everything about myself to do it. Can't dress that way here. Girls aren't supposed to be using that restroom over there if you're a transsexual. You know, you gotta use that restroom over there. We don't understand your situation, so could you explain it to us again? Could you explain that to us again? I came here because I knew that I needed somebody, a witness, to testify that where I'm at up to date now. So it's up to this place to give me a psychiatrist for an evaluation. As I showed up here back in January, February, beginning of February, they told me that they just stopped funding for psychiatrists, but I could get a basic therapist. Well, I don't want to be mean about it, but especially with my personal life situations, I'm just as educated when it comes to mental health as, you know, your average therapist is. I'm not a licensed psychologist, I'm not a licensed psychiatrist, but let me tell you something, I do understand the power of the mind. I've studied it for many, many years. Okay? I can diagnose myself with a lot of it. In fact, because I've learned so much about myself, I actually educate therapists, psychologists, and psychiatrists who are amazed at all the self-knowledge that I have gained over the years. So because I couldn't have a psychiatrist for an evaluation, and let me give you a hint with this. A therapist, this is a staff, they work under a staff, and your psychiatrist is kind of like the head doctor. Then you have your psychologists who are licensed, and then you have your therapist who are licensed to a point. Very basic, they're just somebody that you pretty much talk to, share what's going on, and then they handle it accordingly, okay? So can I tell you that while I was here, I opened up about my whole life again. Can you imagine just kind of reliving your life over and over and over again? Because you have to get a new doctor because you live in a new area. And because you need that doctor in order to get the resources you need to survive. So I had to share my life story with them. Then they have to gather up information from my other doctors and put an evaluation in for themselves about how they can deal with my situation. The same thing she says is the same thing that the doctor at every facility has said, even at Miami Valley. My situation, they see it as being ongoing. It means it's going to be something I'm dealing with throughout my whole entire life. The best thing for me is to have outpatient therapy or a psychologist or psychiatrist, but outpatient. Try to live my life and every so often go in and discuss what's going on, and they'll help me to cope with it. They'll help me in this situation. The only reason that I needed a therapist is so that I could learn how to get the resources around here. I've learned a lot about getting resources. I really did. And I've learned in the end that it's really not that hard if you're familiar with it, but unfortunately I didn't have anybody in my life to help me with this, and I never went down this road before. So to get like your food resources, to get clothing, to get shelter, let me tell you, and I've already shared, for a transsexual lady, it's a whole nother world. And even the people in the professional field, they'll tell you that. It's a whole nother world. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. There's not a whole lot of helpful resources for the transsexual community in the city of Dayton, Ohio, Montgomery County. Okay, there's not. In fact, in most cities, unless you're in a major city, you know, in the United States, there's not a whole lot of resources. They don't see it as amazing as an overwhelming. They don't see it as an overwhelming situation for their city as a whole, because it's just such a small percentage of people who are transgendered, I guess you could say. Or labeled that accept the label, should I put that? Because in my opinion, we're all transgendered. But I don't want to discuss that right now. So I'm just going to walk around the building, head back here. But what I wanted to say is, so understand, I shared a summary of my life story on a daily basis. I would come here every month, every 2 weeks, every 6 weeks, and every step of the way they helped me. They would give me advice, they'd give me printout sheets of addresses of places I could go to get clothing, how I would go about food, if I needed to verify or approve anything by going to another doctor or by getting these resources, then the legal part that they would transfer information over to testify and witness that I have been under their care, they have done that. Up until the last piece of the puzzle that I needed the most, recently, is to get a place to live. They don't want to help me. They're not willing to help me. So I decided that I'm not going to go to this facility anymore, and I decided to make this video. And what I mean by that is, when I went over there to Montgomery Housing Authority, and I went through their class and I filled out paperwork, I explained to them my situation. It's unstable. For nobody, it's healthy. It's not a good match of chemistry for humans. Let's leave it like that. I'm not going to blame anybody. It's just not a healthy match. So we're all kind of going through our own life struggles. And at any given time, listen, at any given time I could be asked to leave a minute from now. I could go home today and be asked to leave. Now legally they have to give me a grace period, you know. I think that should change, my personal opinion as somebody who's been kicked around. Because if you're going to invite somebody in your home and then ask them to leave in 2 or 3 days, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. You know, it just doesn't make sense to keep inviting people into your home and then asking them to leave all the time. So I've been going here since January, February as an outpatient. They have helped me up to this point. Well, when I was at the housing authority, the lady told me that whether it would be from a religious leader, like my pastor, I shared my whole life story with this building, with my therapist. I would come here every 2 weeks, 4 weeks, every 6 weeks. They helped me up until the point that I was told at the housing authority, if I could get a letter to just verify that my situation is considered unstable. I'm more or less, I'm living in shared house living. That's what I am. It's somebody's home who opens up their house for a lot of different people, okay? So there's all kinds of different personalities that were at one time moving in and out of this place. It's an unhealthy environment for all of us for a lot of different reasons, okay? I don't want to right now at this time in my life open up that can of worms at this present time in my life, because that's not what this video is about, talking about my personal home life. But here's the thing, any doctor that I talk to would say that my situation since 2006, 2007 would be considered, I'm considered homeless because I've been bouncing all over the place, living on the streets, panhandling, all kinds of things. The trouble that I got into with the law bullying me around and stuff. All of that adds up to this person needs housing, somewhere safe that they can go. And because of their circumstances, because they're transgender, they can't get like shared like in a homeless shelter kind of thing. And I don't want to live like that. I'm tired of living like this. See, I only found out about these resources since I've been coming back this time around. So I know what I need to do. And I got all the resources, and I'm very grateful for everything that I've gotten so far. It happened very quickly. My needs are met except for being able to sign a lease, and I have my own place to live. That somebody, because I didn't do what they told me to do, I'm moving out. You know, I gotta move. And recently, some things ended up happening in the place that I live that I'm not going to mention now, and I don't plan on mentioning it, but some things happened, and I felt that, you know, enough with the bullying of me around. I've been trying to be a very nice person. People don't perceive me as that. And I stood up for myself, and you would have too in this situation. And when I stood up for myself and I snapped and I got upset, the threat of having to move, and that's what it was about, is I'm tired of people holding that over my head. I have only been living there for 6 months. I explained this to the therapist, okay? Well, here's the deal. She told me that they could not, she would ask if they would be willing, because she's in a staffed facility, she can't just make that judgment call on her own. She had to ask her peers, her team leader, if it would be possible for her to write out some kind of letter. And would you believe it? things got confused. And basically, she thought that I was asking for a letter to verify that what I'm saying is true. When the reality is, what I was asking for is a letter to verify that I have been discussing this as a crucial personal matter since I came to this facility. Is all about me being homeless and living on the streets and being a prostitute. Right? Driving all around the country, living in my car, living on a credit card. Now, the final piece of the puzzle and getting all my resources is getting a safe place to live. I need a letter to verify. And why that is because if I'm number 2,500 or 3,000, it's going to take 3 to 6 years for me to get a possible apartment. Government's cutting funding too, by the way. Guess what? If I can get that letter and they operate in a point system, I might be number 2,300. I may be fortunate and be number 600, and maybe I only have to wait 6 months, or maybe I have to wait 1.5 years or 2 years instead of the 3 to 6. Are you understanding what I'm saying? And if I'm in a situation where I'm always scared that I'm not going to have a place to live tomorrow, don't you think that if I'm stressing this out loud to my therapist, that somebody with compassion would say, you know what? I am going to do whatever I can to help you. Now, here's the thing. That help was denied. I showed up at this facility. She had double booked me about 4 weeks ago. I show up, and an hour goes by after I already checked in, and I let them know. And they said, oh, she forgot she had double booked you. If you'll stay, I said, there's something I really need to talk to her about. They said, if you stay, she'll get to see you soon, and then she'll be able to help you. Well, here's the thing. I waited almost 1.5 hours before she finally saw me. And I explained to her that it was very urgent because I recently got into a disagreement at the place that I'm staying at. And before I end up on the streets again, not knowing what to do, would you please help me? This is what they told me at the housing authority. And her exact words were, well, we could send over some of your personal information. I said they don't want to know my personal information. They just want somebody to verify that whether or not they would consider that. I just wanted them to verify the fact that I have been discussing this as a serious personal matter, you know, and that this has been going on for me in my life for years. She couldn't do it. She said her exact words were, I can't do it now, but what I can do is ask my team leader. The team leader, so she told me she's going to ask the team leader, and what she did is she scheduled me for an appointment 2 weeks later. That 2 weeks comes by, I show up, and guess what? She had an excuse. She said her team leader was gone for a week. So that was 2 weeks, right? So her team leader's gone for a week, and the next week she just told it, it slipped my therapist's mind. My situation, nobody else is taken serious. Do you understand it? Nobody cares about me, right? Show me you care. Don't tell me you care. Show me. If you pay taxes in the city of Dayton, Ohio, let me tell you something. Don't you want, you're working hard for that money. It's supposed to be available for people like me who do need help. And I'm sure you have disgusted feelings about that as so as it is. Remember, I'm crazy. A crazy person's trying to survive in this world. It's not working out too good, folks. Okay? Let me tell you, they're not giving me the help I need. Why wouldn't you help me out with a housing paper? Just to help me possibly maybe get into a home, my own home for once. A little bit sooner. Before some other tragedy happens and I end up on the streets again. Then I'll be the dirtball that's walking around your city's streets that you're saying that should be locked up in prison. That's trying to survive by holding a cardboard sign or playing my guitar, and you're just down talking. Let me tell you something, if you're watching this video, I bet you could never do what I did to survive. You'd probably already be dead. All the things I had to endure, it's unbelievable. All I need is a safe place to live now. That's it. And I'll shut my mouth and I'll get busy and I finally start my life all over again. The way it should have been when I first came here to Ohio. But I've been living with this threat continuously. In my head now, it's every day. I don't live in a stable place. I could be thrown out tomorrow. I could be thrown out today. And you say, well, I live in that situation now, Tracilyn. I live in that situation. We all live with the uncertainty of tomorrow. But I'll tell you what, I am programmed for the simple fact that if I make one mistake and I do something that somebody else doesn't like, or I don't do something and somebody else doesn't like the fact that I didn't do something, I'm gone and I have nowhere else to go. Remember, in Miami Valley Hospital, I figured out I have nowhere else to go. This is it. I've tried a million different ways. Nothing works out for me. All right. So their team leader is Heather Stevens. I called her and I talked to her and I explained, and that was the one that my therapist was supposed to talk to. Unfortunately for me, she never did talk to her. So now I had to step above because I see this situation as being urgent. I better, try to at least reach out. I mean, that to me is a sign of self-love. You gotta love yourself a little bit to try to get the help that you need. So you call that facility. Well, guess what? That facility's team leader was very nice to me. However, she said the same thing. She said, I can't see us being able, nobody has ever asked us to do this. We can't see writing out a paper. And there was nothing that they could do about it. What is the sense of me going there, spilling out my heart for months and months, and the whole situation's based on of rejection by all of society, and I need a safe place to live because I've been living on the streets. I've been a prostitute. All right? Why is the government paying these people? Well, what if government would yank the funding from them and people would lose their jobs? What would they be doing? What would they do if they now had to go to see a therapist for legal reasons, and the therapist said, we can't help you, we can't give you the paper that you need? Why? It's kind of ridiculous. I know you're thinking this is just over a paper. No, it's not. It's over my life. It's a life or death situation. A lot can happen in one day, let alone 6 months, a year, 2 years. I gotta wait until an apartment opens up for me, or I'm never going to have a safe place to live. And even then, let's just face it, who knows the kind of neighborhood I'm gonna get stuck in? And how are they gonna feel about transsexuals? And what can I do? I can't get a job, so I can get my own apartment. I can just go on and on and on. I'm just repeating myself. And I know you might not even care about this. To hell with you. I care. It's not just me it's happening to. It's happening to a whole lot of people. All right? So now, they don't want to help me out with this paper, right? So I say, well then, when I called the one time, this guy gave me a whole team of, working your way up the ladder kind of thing. And I said, I want to speak to the vice president about this. Of the facility. I want to speak to him. His name is Larry Stevens, by the way. Dr. Larry Stevens. He's not a very compassionate one, by the way. Now, Dr. Larry Stevens and I had a conversation. I explained to him my situation, and he said the same thing. Nobody has ever asked us for this. We can't do that for a lot of different reasons. I said, why can't you, by my permission, write out 2 sentences that just simply say that I have been discussing that this is a personal matter I've been going through. You can even put on there that you can't verify because you have not been in our house, or you have not lived with me for the last few years, but you can discuss the fact that I've been talking about it with them. That's the whole reason I was going to that facility, to get help. When I explained to him again and again that I don't want them to witness or testify that they can witness to my circumstances, that they can just testify that I have been a patient of theirs and these have been matters I have been discussing, that can make a big difference in a person's life. Now understand that my therapist had told me just about a month prior to this that she sees my situation as being ongoing. She also sees me as a very intelligent person. She never insulted me. She says, I see you as a very intelligent person who sees exactly what they're up against on a daily basis. I wish there was something I could do to help. How can this whole facility doesn't know how to help you in your situation? Very nice, she said it. And I'm very grateful for that. And I said, can you just be here for me to talk to you? Every 6 weeks or 8 weeks? I need somebody that I can talk to. You know, that's going to be non-judgmental, that isn't connected to anybody that I know. Because I spend a lot of time talking to myself. And she said, yes, we can do that. And then finally, you know, just about 3.5, 4 weeks ago, I said, I finally learned something that you could help me with. It's the last thing I need help with. When I get into a home anyway, I'll finally be in a safe foundation. You know, with food. I can lock my door. Nobody can bully me around inside my apartment anymore. Telling me what door I should go out of, how long I should take a shower, and I can go on and on and on and on and on and on. Let me tell you, I could, but I won't. Not right now anyway. Unless, you know, my matters all of a sudden get worse because somebody saw this video. You know. I'm tired of, you know, the whole world saying that I'm doing this to myself and people beating me up, and basically what the whole world is saying, you are scum of the earth and we don't want to do anything to let you be a part of society, nor do we want to do anything to help you during your circumstances. Okay? So, it's disgusting to me that somebody with a good heart, with pure intentions, and the desire to really want to be a part of society and to help and educate people have been totally shunned, and there's nowhere to go whatsoever to get the full extent of help that one needs within this county. A door opens up, I have a place to stay. Now this place is a temporary place. It's not, when I discuss the matter with anybody, they all say, it's not even considered, you're still considered homeless under the circumstances. Because at any given day, that person can say it's time to go. For whatever reason. Because I didn't do something right. Because I did do something with good intentions and something bad happens. Because I spoke up in defense of myself. And a lot of people I've learned in life, they don't like that. Oh, she spoke in defense, so now she's scum of the earth and we're never going to talk to her again. So most people would say that under my circumstances, since, you know, geez, almost all my life, I've been facing continuous mental abuse. Whether it's from society, whether it's through family, whether it's through connections of friends, housings that I stayed at, all over the board. Okay, we all receive a little bit of mental abuse, in fact, a lot of mental abuse. But how many of us can really keep on going like this and survive in the end? I understand why people snap. I understand how people end up doing things that a lot of people say, I would never do that. You know? So Nan and John, in the state of Ohio, this is great, because you know why? Because I finally got beaten down to the place that I said, you know what, I'm willing to move anywhere in the state of Ohio as long as I have all my basic foundation needs met. So the last thing on the list for me to do is find housing. As I'm going around and trying to find housing, I've learned that every county has a different process. You know, pretty much similar, you all fill out applications, right? I can't just go onto the website and say I'm willing to live in any county and just fill out one statewide thing for housing because my situation is in desperation, right? I can't do that. But what I can do is I can drive and go to every different housing authority in all the different counties and fill out their applications, find out individually what it is that is needed in order to make it happen. You know? And how can they believe me when I say, this is my situation and I'm desperate for housing as everybody else on the list is. And the most common thing, now understand, I have already filed in 8 different counties in the state of Ohio. I have called numerous multitudes more than that to find out who's accepting and who's not accepting. And I've heard anything from the government is cutting funding on Section 8 programs to government is just cutting funding. Government is cutting funding for housing, to, you know, to anywhere from 3 to 6 years. You're going to have to wait on the list. There's 2,500 people in line ahead of you. May never ever get the housing. Okay. So a lot of people say, well, we got a crisis like that all over America, Tracilyn, all over the world. Yeah. So maybe if we started organizing our budget of what we're raping out of the taxpayers, maybe then we could put our money into things that are actually being used to help people in need. For instance, if we backtrack, okay, we're cutting funding from the housing. That's great. Just in time for Tracilyn in her time of need to get housing. We're cutting housing. What about facilities that are plainly right out receiving funding, but they don't want to help their patients? I think it's really sad that a majority of taxpayers, period, the ones working hard and their taxes are being taken out of their large chunk of their paycheck is just disappearing upon arrival. I think it's time to wake up and stop going to work every day and letting this happen to you. I think you should get educated. And I think that it's time that more people start standing up and saying, you know what, if you're going to take my money from me, at least help people. You know, do with the money what you're supposed to do with it. In this situation, why is it? This facility is all run down, by the way. It's all run down. Just like a lot of buildings have been here in Dayton. It's sad. Dayton, Ohio used to be a very beautiful city. And now they're sinking all their money into the roadways and the highways. You know, and to see the buildings just start to diminish into nothing as it has been for many years, and then to see that there's so many people with the desperation, and, you know, to find out in the end that there's programs like this where people are receiving government funding, but they don't want to really help the people that are there in need. Well, then it's time to yank the government funding. What would this facility do without it? Would it end up being homeless like me? Would it be an abandoned building for somebody to come by and do a video on and say this once used to be a behavior unit here in Dayton and now it's just an abandoned building? What about all those people in those jobs? I'd be a heck of a therapist, you know, psychologist, psychiatrist. Just because society has outcasted me doesn't mean that I'm absolutely brainless. Maybe I'm one of the more highly intelligent individuals, period, on the planet. Maybe. Maybe I'm just crazy. I'm tired of living in a world where people say that I'm crazy, and I have legal documents and papers that support everything that I've been talking about, yet still people want to say, no, we can't help you. No, we won't help you. You know how many applications I filled out in jobs around here? Back where I come from years ago, a planet far, far away, when somebody was in need and somebody else knew that they were in need, they helped them out. Yeah, hey, you need a job? We got you a job. It doesn't happen like that. Times have changed, right? I'm sure at one time Dayton was an amazing place to visit, and I bet you if I would have came to Dayton years and years ago, I probably wouldn't have had no problem getting a job. You know, the economy is the way it is, America is the way it is, and there's a lot that I could talk about that alone. But I'm talking about my own individual circumstances and the simple fact that this is going to sound funny. I think it's a bunch of hogwash that people who are working their tails off are having money taken from them, and they're going into facilities like this who are supposedly there to help. They even say, how can I help you? And when you say, this is my desperate situation, will you help me? And they say no. I have not asked for any help other than that. I have only stated my situation and things that are going on in my personal life. And personally, I am really tired of sharing my life with people on, over and over again. That's why I shared my life story, in songs, or if I'm at a public gathering and I'm talking about something. But when I'm spending time sharing my life story to somebody in the professional field who's there to help people, that's what they're supposed to be there for anyway, and they're denying me the only thing that I'm asking for, and I know every day I have to go to bed not knowing if today's going to be the day. I don't know if you know what it's like. Do you know what it's like to live with people who don't like you? I do. It's very painful. You'd rather live alone than live with people who hate you. And how do I know that? Because I've experienced it for many years in my life. I don't hate me, I love me. When somebody turns you down at the only request you act, and it's a civilized request, then I think it's time to do videos like this. And let me tell you something, if I do not get the help I need, I'm going to end up on the streets again, living on a credit card, a prostitute, being bullied by police, talked down upon all of society, because no matter what I try to do, my hands keep getting slapped. We're not going to help you. Somehow, mysteriously, I'm supposed to be able to help myself out of this mess. I have a lot of opinions about this country. I have a lot of opinions about the state that I live in. I have a lot of opinions about this city that I live in. And I could do a lot of good for a lot of people, or I can spend the last of my days, since I have nothing to look forward to, nitpicking on everything. That's human nature. Finding all the negative and exploiting it. Always looking with a magnifying glass. There's something negative. I know what that feels like. See, I put that into my art. That's how my art starts to manifest itself in a more pleasurable way, whether it's listening or the presentation. How about that? A much more pleasurable presentation. Focusing that energy in my art. And that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I can't do my art if I'm always worrying about how to survive every day. I would have never made this video if things wouldn't have got to a head at the place that I'm living at. And I'm not going into details about it, but let's just say it went to a head, and it got me to the point that I better get out there and find a place to live. But I don't know, I can't speed it up. I gotta wait 3 to 6 years. And I explained that to people. I've only been back 6 months. I need to come down off this high of always worrying about. I'm stressed out every day. I don't know what I'm gonna do every day. I don't know what to do. Nobody knows what to do. I talk to doctors, they don't know what to do. I talk to my therapist, I tell them what they can do to help me out. They don't want to help me, yet they're receiving citizens' tax dollars. And they're going home at night. They have a roof over their head. They got a job to go home to. Or they got a job to go, they may have a job to go home to, but they got a job to go to, and then now they have a home to go home to. I have no one to go to. For me, it's a very big, empty life. I got my music. I got myself. I'm quite content with that, but not if I always got to worry about how I'm going to live. If you ever want to learn the truth about human nature, just let everything go for a couple months and go live on the streets and see what happens in America. How long is it before you end up in prison? How long is it before you end up being raped, beaten, maybe to death? It's kind of crazy. It's the real world. That's the real world that most people miss in their daily, everyday life, and they couldn't imagine it. I can't imagine it. Well, it's the same world that we live in. Yes. And there could be somebody right beside you right now that has more than you can ever imagine to offer, and you just look down on them because you don't get it. Because you're the crazy one, not the one who says and is perceived as being crazy. So, I feel better now that I got this out. In my opinion, Daymont has honestly helped me up until the last puzzle piece. And it was how they talked to me. And the denial of it. And the fact that I waited an hour and a half because she double booked. It's being ran sloppy, can I tell you that? They do sloppy business over here, and they don't really care about their patients. And the excuse of, well, nobody has ever asked me for this request? Hey, you decide. Leave a comment. Was it a reasonable request? What if you were in my shoes? What if you were homeless for a long time? Years. Seen many doctors, been in and out of emergency rooms, you know, because you just can't deal with the stress of living. What would you do? What would you do if you couldn't by choice go to any psychologist that you want to, who's compassionate towards the fact that you are sociably considered different, and the only place that you went to was government funded, and in the end, they're turning down the last help that you need? A simple 2-sentence letter that says that you have been going through some pretty bizarre situations for quite a few years. Maybe you're laughing, maybe you think this is funny. Well, all I can say is I hope you never end up in this situation, because it can happen to anybody overnight. And the next time it happens to me, I'm just going to be dead. There's nothing left for me to try. You're looking at one person in that video screen right now who has tried everything. Tried to get a job, tried to reach out to barter with people about living somewhere. I've tried. This is what happens in the great Midwest, you know? Total opposite from any kind of life I would have ever imagined that would have been for me. So, I have a lot more to share if I do not get a home. I have a lot to share if I get kicked out. I have a lot to share. It's going to be very interesting, even in the city alone. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe. I have 2 channels. Music, modeling, acting. That's my passion in life. I love to pretend, as I call it. Music. I love music. I love hot men too. All kinds of hot men. Especially if they have just a wee bit of Italian blood in them. Or a whole lot of it. That's even better. By the way, here's an old abandoned house. There's 3 of them. Let's check them out. Now let's put me in front of it. Homeless. Human being without home. Abandoned houses. No more. How do we get a homeless into a home in America? How do we do that? It always amazes me how we can have abandoned hotels. We can have abandoned homes. Need a little bit of love. That's it. Somebody who would appreciate it. But yet, we have people in need. And you know, a lot of people will say, well, you know what? There's a lot of people that are homeless and they just wouldn't appreciate or whatever. All they want to do is just take the easy life. Do they? Let me tell you something. Easy life. I wanted to be a part of a society that has rejected me because they have been programmed and they're too ignorant, and I mean that nicely, to realize that they have been programmed to be that way. Your brain is like a computer, and the leaders of this country want to control you. You're their slave. I'm not like society's idea of what a homeless person is. I wanted to give to my community. I wanted to be a part of a community. I used to want to use my talents and my gifts to help other people, educate other people. And I gotta be honest, I don't feel that way anymore. I just want to live my life and do what I love to do. And whatever is the end result of that is good for me. Or better yet, how about instead of all this arguing and fighting and trying to survive, since the two doesn't go together somehow, human that is homeless without home, that is without humans. Very interesting to me. Very interesting to me. You find my videos boring, maybe? That's okay. I'm sharing this with you because I'm very frustrated at what happened here at Dayton. So in my opinion, if you're looking for help and this is the only help you can get, just know that in the end, that there's a limit to it. Any psychologist, any medical doctor that I have gone to throughout my life, if they wouldn't have been willing to put things in writing to help me, I would not be. I've come as far in life's journey as I have. I had to get notes for anything just explaining my situation as being a transgendered lady for the times that there would be any kind of legal mess or, at all, in any way. I had to have legal documents for that. I had to have legal documents to get through my transition as far as physical, because there's all these legal reasons. The only reason that I need a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist is for legal reasons. The problem isn't me. The problem is society won't allow me to be a part of it. Oh, we got somebody coming over here now, security. He's gonna wanna...
Hi.
Okay.
I was just wondering why you were recording.
That's none of your business. I'm on a public street.
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
But they said something to me, so I figured I'd come over and ask you polite.
Note that he doesn't want to give his name. He's security here at Dayton, and he wants to come over and ask me why I'm on a public street, not owned by that business, not funded by the government of that business, to see what I'm doing with my video camera like it's his business.
Nice.
So I'm tired of people always walking up to me when I'm doing something. And whenever I'm out, notice this, if I was in society's view, if I was allowed to have a job, I'd be at work. If I was allowed to have an apartment, I may be at my apartment working on my music. You see what I'm talking about? I wouldn't be walking around the streets, maybe. It seems that no matter when I'm out and about in a public setting, I'm upsetting everyone around me. And let me tell you something, I'm starting to get very upset about that. You think I like walking around the streets and just because I'm the only human being doing it, that there's cops got to be watching me, everything I do? You think I need to have security? That has nothing to do, it's not his job to walk across the street, ask me what I'm doing with my camera. All right, invading my privacy. That's the American way, baby. But you don't know it living in your little world, maybe. Same world, just different perspective of what's going on a regular basis. In my opinion, Dayton is not worthy of receiving government funding. And I canceled my appointment. I ain't going to go see an establishment, wasting my time, wasting my life, sharing my life story over and over and over again because I need legal help, and they will not help me. All right, that's what all this video was about. So, peace and love from a very frustrated transsexual lady who is homeless. Just trying to get a basic foundation together in a world that says I am not worthy of it. Welcome to Dayton, Ohio, where I've been fighting for years to get the help I need.